Rolling from the 8th position, driving the Chalou Performance, MTT, Munz Auto number 22. He's on a streak of 4 consecutive top 10 finishes from Bayshore, New York, Kyle Bonsignor. The next driver has had an outstanding season so far, starting 7th from Holtsville, New York. The A&R Materials, John Fuel Oil, Rapid Recovery Modified, J.B. Fortin. Starting 6th is the driver who will try to tie Mike Iwanisco's track win record here at Riverhead. From Holtsville, New York, the Phoenix Communications Incorporated, number 51, Justin Bonsignor. Starting 5th, the Mayhew Tools, 7 New York, from Milford, Connecticut. He's a 3-time Riverhead Raceway winner and a multi-time Whelen Modified Tour champion, Doug Kobe. Starting 4th with an outstanding qualifying effort today, Jack Hanley Jr. from Medford, New York, and car number 45, driver of the Hydro Action, Suffolk Precast Modified. Starting 3rd from Owego, New York, Northeast Drilling, Musco Lighting bring you car number 32, Tyler Ripkema. And on the outside of the front row, he is a current NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour point leader and former champion, the Blue Mountain Machine and Future Homes number 16 from Norwalk, Connecticut, Ron Silk. And for the 2nd time in his career, he has earned the Mayhew Tools Dominator Pole Award, the Dell Electric, Lumiere Electric, Andrew James Interior number 64. From Northampton, Pennsylvania, Austin Beers. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the starting lineup for today's Miller Lite 200, saluting Mike Iwanisco. Drivers will get ready. They will get strapped in, and we will be ready to turn them loose. 200 laps here at this racetrack. If you were with us here in May, you saw an outstanding battle between two of the best. Ron Silk had the race in hand in the 16 car, but Justin Bonsignor, in the closing moments, was able to capitalize on some late race cautions and restarts to be able to get the victory the last time we were here. With that win, he has moved up on the all-time Whelen Modified Tour win list, and he wants more here at his home track. But Ronnie Silk, in that 16 car, knows one got away, and he doesn't want to let that happen again here tonight. The 64 car, Austin Beers, a kid that's walking around the pit area with a lot of swagger, a lot of confidence, driving well at many of the racetracks. He's right in the thick of the championship hunt. He's a young driver that's on the rise in the Whelen Modified Tour. He's on the pole position here tonight. Keep an eye on the driver from Northampton, Pennsylvania, as he brings these fields around to the green flag here today. Then you've got the wild cards. Timmy Solomito ran full-time on the tour at one time, but hasn't been full-time as he's focused on his design business. But when he shows up, especially here at this racetrack, that Timmy Solomito, number 66, is going to be somebody to contend to. So, who's it going to be, race fans? Are you going to pick your local favorites? Are you going to pick, well, your champion favorites? Maybe you're going to pick your Whelen Modified Tour regulars to win here tonight. But it's a great crowd here tonight at Riverhead. The second of 3 Whelen Modified Tour events here this season. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Championship definitely runs through this racetrack, and that is on the mind of everybody as they head into the summer stretch, the mid-season of a 19-race schedule that has them racing at tracks like New Smyrna in Florida, Riverhead here in New York, and North Wilkesboro Speedway in North Carolina before they crown the champion in Virginia at the famed half-mile Martinsville Speedway. The field is set, stage before you, 200 laps on the line, and an opportunity to capture victory here at this racetrack, the pride of Long Island here in Riverhead. Who's it going to be tonight? Who's going to get it done? Who's going to have their A game when we drop the green flag tonight? Only time will tell, and we're moments away from firing them up and turning them loose here today for 200 laps. Final preparations being made. Drivers getting strapped in. Ready to go. Belts tight, helmets on, steering wheels attached to the column, getting fired up. The anticipation building as we get set to go racing here in Riverhead. Let's go trackside for the command to fire engines.
And now, for the most famous words in racing, from Mike Uininsko. Drivers, start your engine! Go upstairs to Joe Koss.
No better sound than the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour coming to life here on a Saturday night. And what a day it has been. And we are about ready to turn them loose. We'll have 5 pace laps before we go racing here this evening in Riverhead. And this evening, saluting Mike Uininsko. Mike on the golf cart as he makes his way around the racetrack. He'll leave the 23 modified behind him, the Ira Bromley number 23. Now, Mike Uininsko got his start in at both Islip, then transferred over to racing here at Riverhead, ran this car in Martinsville, and that car at the front of the field that will pace this field, Steve, is a car with a tremendous amount of history and tie to the Mike Uininsko Salute event here tonight.
When Michael was 14, 15 years old, Ira Bromley and Lou Hennessy hooked up with the Uininsko family at Islip Speedway and put Michael in this car. Dave Brigatti, a regular here on Saturday nights, and Brian Schwartz, Warren Collins, the entire team, made sure this car was ready here for tonight. A great job, and a thank you to them as well.
You couldn't ask for anything better here this evening. Pomp, circumstance, the pageantry of this event here today. Going over some final checks before we get underway. Give you a little bit of a heads up as what we'll see tonight. No change tires tonight. What you start the race on is what you'll finish on unless you have a flat or involved in an accident, and they'll allow you to change tires at that point in time. But you've got to run it to the finish. And boy, these races have been outstanding. And we've talked about the 3 races that are here at this racetrack. They're all a little bit different. And this time we've got a different tire. Not the same combination that we had in May. So just because you were fast, like Justin Bonsanur and Ron Silk a month ago, doesn't mean that that's going to carry over here tonight.
And what happens here in this race is all about pace. If the leader takes off and runs a fast pace and everyone's chasing him, you'll end up, these guys will have no tires with 50 to go. If the leaders can pace this field, we'll have position changes from 10th on up to the lead in the last 50 laps. You'll have comers and goers based on what they do with their tires.
Now, the last time we were here, Doug Coby in that 7 New York was penalized before the race began because of an unapproved adjustment, and he was 2 laps down before we even threw the green flag. Well, he had to take those 2 laps from the infield, but he got behind right from the start. Today he'll start 5th on the inside of row number 3, that black 7 New York. The Baldwin family has had a long history here at this racetrack, along with that 7 New York, but Doug Coby really wasn't a factor a month ago because of that penalty.
Yeah, and the way the penalty worked, Doug Coby he'd pass 10, 15 cars. But because he wasn't on the lead lap or 1 lap down, he'd have to go back. So Coby probably passed more cars that day, but was unable to gain any positions unless drivers fell out.
So there is the field being paced by the Ira Bromley, number 23. That got it all started for Mike Uininsko and the partnership that Steve mentioned a moment ago. Behind them, the Racing with Jesus Ministries pace car pacing the field here tonight at Riverhead. And boy, what a look back in the history, not only for Mike Uininsko, for his career, for what it means to this area of racing. but also for the 75 years of NASCAR and the tribute that it started with modified race cars just like this on the beaches of Daytona. And now it has turned into the sport that we know and love and has canvassed the country today.
And a great job. That car was redone a couple of years back by Norman. We call him Stormin Norman. And he did some job. He's with the Gershow Motorsports team. He has Michael's number 36, the one they call Timex. He has that one next.
2 laps to go when they hit the line this time by. And so when they get down into turn number 3, race fans, let's make some noise. Get on your feet, wave your hat, salute these drivers as they get ready to go. They'll get the 1 to go this time by. Give them a big Riverhead Raceway send-off tonight. This is a Miller Lite salutes Mike Iwanisco 200, modified racing at its best. As the field circulates back into turns 1 and 2, they're going to give him an extra lap. But the salute to race fans, to the drivers, to Mike Iwanisco happening here tonight over the course of 200 laps. And it's about time to get up on the wheel. This time through the flag stand. 1 to go. 1 lap before we turn them loose.
Austin Beers, car number 64. Ron Silk, car number 16, will lead this field around. Tyler Ripkema and Riverhead regular Jack Hanley Jr. make up row number 2. Then there's a whole bunch of championships in row number 3 with Doug Kobe and Justin Bonsignore.
The pace truck pulls to the inside lane. The green flag is out, and we are underway in the Miller Lite salutes Mike Iwanisco 200. Austin Beers racing down to the bottom lane, but he can't hold off Ronnie Silk, who challenges to the outside.
Silk in car number 16 with a move to the outside actually allows Austin Beers to get back in front of him, and Beers will head down the back straightaway. Silk to the second spot. To third is Jack Hanley Jr. Mike Iwanisco Jr. just waved the green flag to start this event. For his dad, great job.
Top 5 go single file, but you've got a battle for 6th. The 32 of Tyler Ripkema, who started 3rd, did not have a good start. Works now to the inside of John Beatty Jr. Beatty working the outside lane of that red number 5. Puts the nose out in front at the entrance of turn 3.
John Beatty Jr., the MSM Elite Motorsports, number 5, has had some great runs here at Riverhead Raceway and Modified Tour events in recent seasons. And right now, he's to the outside of Tyler Ripkema for position number 6.
Went a bit wide through turns 3 and 4 that time. Ripkema able to take advantage. Now clears him off turn 2. Doug Kobe tries to fill the gap to the bottom, but could not do it. Kobe has to settle back in line.
They run single file, nose to tail. Car number 64, Austin Beers, your race leader. The 16 of Ronnie Silk is second. Third is Jack Hanley Jr. To fourth, settling in right now is Justin Bonsignore, and up to fifth is Kyle Bonsignore in car number 22.
Matt Hirschman, a handful of cars behind them. The yellow and red number 60 here tonight. Hirschman in the 60 started back in the 12th position, has already picked up 3 spots relatively early here, and he's had some good runs here in races at this racetrack driving that race car.
Yes, he finished second in the Islip 300, and I'll tell you what, if he had about 5 more laps, he probably would have won that. He had done an excellent job. He had never seen that race car. Sat in it for the first time in practice and did a great job to come home second.
Well, one thing is new is that Matt Hirschman, for the first time really in the last 325 laps, 323 laps, is not out in front. He's had a dominating 2 races at Lee USA Speedway, then Seekonk Speedway. Now, with a different team, this Elite Towing Baker Racing entry, the number 60, inside the top 10. But these race cars are not identical. This is a different type of modified, a different chassis, an LFR chassis, which is different than the car that he normally runs out of PD Motorsports, the black number 60. That's a Troyer modified. And that could be a difference here in how Matt Hirschman approaches this race.
And during the 300, you could see he was searching for grooves. He was trying to find his best way around the raceway. And then Hirschman was able to settle in. We had a late pit stop, and Matt Hirschman started to do what Matt Hirschman does late in an event. And he made his way to the front to come home second in the Elite Towing number 60.
Everybody pretty much settled into single file action except Craig Lutz. Craig Lutz working to the inside off turn number 4 in the number 82 machine, trying to find a lane underneath the 34 of JB Fortin. Just to the right of your frame as they guide their cars into turns 3 and 4. That battle is now tempered down for a little bit, but as I say that, here they come across the line, side by side again. Craig Lutz to the inside of JB Fortin on the back straightaway.
Craig Lutz with a good move early on in this event. 17 laps thus far completed.
And that's a team that really needs a good run. They have struggled to find speed. Although he's from Miller Place, New York, Craig Lutz is, he has not spent a lot of time racing at this racetrack. He decided to go to the other side of Long Island Sound to race in Connecticut on the shoreline at the Waterford Speed Bowl. That's where he cut his teeth in modified racing before joining the Whelen Modified Tour. But he has now moved into the 10th position. He'll start to close in on the back bumper of the 60 car of Matt Hirschman.
Right now, Doug Kobe starting to look to the inside at John Beatty Jr. here for the 7th spot.
Kobe 7 New York didn't qualify as well as he usually does here, and so he'll have to tiptoe his way through traffic. You alluded to the fact that he was able to work his way through the field, although he was 2 laps down when we were here in May, but really never got to see his race car. But then again, didn't need to push all that far, knowing that it was a car that he wasn't going to gain a whole lot by passing a bunch of race cars. We'll see what they learned that day and see if it'll help them tonight.
Good battle right now between those two as Austin Beers continues to set the pace and starts to pull away in car number 64. Beers running about a 12.0. Good pace to start this event for Austin Beers. Ronnie Silk sits second, and Jack Hanley Jr. is right on his rear bumper for third.
Jack Hanley's doing a really nice job here early on. Had the pole position for a long time during qualifying before getting knocked off in the late going, but he's putting a lot of pressure on Ron Silk. But we're 25 laps in, Steven. You watch the races here week in and week out at Riverhead. This is a different animal when you go 200 laps for these weekly drivers.
We have a 50-lap feature here is what our regular feature event is. And Jack Hanley Jr. is always at the front of the field. But you got to get going right away. Right now, with no pressure from behind from Justin Bonsignor, Jack Hanley should simply settle in here and run with Ron Silk and try and log laps and not wear that race car out. Right now, the car looks really good. 28 laps into this event.
So we'll keep an eye on lap 50 and see if that car changes a little bit from the weekly racing here at the track. Although they run tour-type modifieds, and this car that Jack Hanley is driving here tonight is the same with the 5 of John Beatty. The rubber is different. The Hoosier Racing tire is different. They normally put a little resin on the outside lane of the racetrack for weekly competition. That has not been applied in about a month. And so the racetrack is a little bit different from what they would see week to week, and that's one of the challenges that the local drivers have moving into the Whelen Modified Tour event. But at the same point in time, laps around a racetrack provides a tremendous amount of seat time when it's needed.
Right, and what he can do here is learn to pace himself. He doesn't have to be in such a hurry right now as Ronnie Silk starts to reel in the 64 of Austin Beers.
And also Doug Kobe working underneath John Beatty Jr. as we watch that battle for the 7 New York, digging down to the bottom. Through the turn they come, and on the back straightaway, Kobe had been patiently working him under. Now Matt Hirschman's going to close in behind, and now that John Beatty is up the racetrack, see if he can fill the hole down to the bottom, opened up by Doug Kobe.
Kobe with a good run down the back straightaway will take the position in the 7NY. 35 laps into this event, 34.
While this battle is pretty intense, a bit deeper in the field, the race lead has tightened up quite a bit. We see Hirschman now working underneath John Beatty, but up front, ahead of them, the race leaders are in heavy lap traffic. Austin Beers out in front, working now to the inside in turn number 3, trying to find a lane underneath J.R. Bertuccio. But in this battle, Ron Silk has been able to close right in on the back bumper of the 64 of Austin Beers.
And he's starting to look to the outside of Beers here. Beers continues to lead to the bottom of J.R. Bertuccio. Silk now gets to the bottom to follow Beers through.
You might have seen my pre-race preview that was shared on the social media accounts with NASCAR earlier in the day today. Ronnie Silk said, the only thing I need to do different to win at Riverhead is not mess up. He said, it was my fault of why I lost that race, in not so many words, but Ronnie Silk he knows that he's got a capable race car. Phil Moran has prepared for him and that entire 16 team, and he's not going to go easily and allow him to lose a race after leading 164 laps here in May and see that slip away here again this year.
And Ronnie Silk has won here before in weekly competition. For Eddie Partridge, he's also won for Bill Park. Won 4 or 5 races, I believe. That's what he told me. I heard it was 3. He told me, no, it was 4 or 5. I said, I'm not going to argue with him.
That's a big fish story,
Yeah.
but I don't know the exact count, but he's good here, and he's got a lot of laps, just like we were talking about with the local drivers. That goes a long way. Austin Beers, on the other hand, now, he's led a lot of laps in a variety of races, but, you know, this is a racetrack that he doesn't have a tremendous amount of experience on, but he did have a top 5 run when we were here in May. So he's had some good runs here. Whether or not this kid can hang on for another 157 laps, well, only time will tell on that deal, but he's got a mirror full of Ron Silk at the moment.
And again, he continues to run 12 O's, 12 ones early on. Oh, Hirschman now to the inside of John Beatty Jr.
Now,
Ed Hirschman.
you look at it, we were talking about this battle a little while ago, right? Doug Kobe was able to get underneath John Beatty, and Hirschman was trying to fill that gap. But right now, because Hirschman is hung up trying to get around John Beatty Jr., who's got a very quick race car, he has lost almost a straightaway to what he was with Doug Kobe. Now, Craig Lutz is going to try to fill that gap as well, but Hirschman, you can see him getting a little bit impatient. He drove really deep up into turns 3 and 4 the last time through.
And Kobe, maybe one of the fastest cars on the raceway right now, as Ripkema looks to the inside of Bonsignor, and Kobe sits and watches.
Yeah, that's a great battle just a little bit further up, just outside the top 5. Right now, Craig Lutz able to get by John Beatty Jr. He got the job done. The 34 of J.B. Fortin is in the mix as well. Great battles there. You go up just a little bit further in the running order, though, and you look at this battle between the 32 of Tyler Ripkema, who just slid underneath Kyle Bonsignor to move inside the top 5. You got Doug Kobe in the middle of that, who's now starting to make a move in the 7 New Yorks. He's trying to follow the 32 of Tyler Ripkema on through underneath Kyle Bonsignor in the 22.
And it's like a hornet's nest back there because you have 2-lap cars that are not slow. In the 49 car, Frisch Young, and the 2 car of J.R. Bertuccio. So they're trying to hold their spot and not get lapped, but here come these cars. Oh, caution flag down.
36 of Dave Sapienza has spun to the inside of turns 3 and 4. Sparks are also flying off the right front of Melissa Fifield. She's got a right front tire that is down, and that's going to bring us under the first caution of the day here. 52 laps into the Miller Lite Salute. Mike Iwanisco 200 here at Riverhead, and we are after a feverish pace there to get started, and it was just starting to get pretty crazy between the 32 of Ripkema, Doug Kobe, and Kyle Bonsignor racing for position while in the middle of lap traffic.
And what you're seeing now is some of these cars have basically just been riding. But all of a sudden, when you get in that lap traffic and lanes are opening up, these drivers like Doug Kobe and Tyler Ripkema are trying to make their way to the front. So right now, what a ride for the 64 car of Austin Beers. But Ronnie Silk in car number 16 was starting to catch him.
Caught him in lap traffic. And now 53 laps in. Pit road is closed here under the caution. Again, no change tires for this particular race, but when pit road opens, they'll have an opportunity to have a few cars go in for service. One car went down pit road. I think it was a 46 of Justin Brown, but the red light seems to be illuminated from our perspective. It appeared as though pit road was closed. Few cars pulling up to pit here as they make their way into turn 3.
Now it's open.
So J.R. Bertuccio, Dave Sapienza, Ken Hagee all lined up to the outside lane, and they will make their way back into the pit area. Caution laps do count, so any service that is done here under the caution, they've got to be pretty quick and efficient to make sure that they can stay inside the lead lap. So they'll make adjustments when possible and then make their way back out onto the racetrack. Get a good look at some of the action if you're joining us online with Flow Racing broadcast. The J.R. Bertuccio, number 2, making his way back into the pit area. So we've talked a lot about the race leader in Austin Beers as you continue to watch some of the pit service back in the paddock area. But, you know, Austin Beers today in the 64 car, really walked around the pit area with a bounce in his step, a little bit of swagger. And all last season we were going through saying, what he needs is just a little bit more aggressiveness on the racetrack. Not over-aggressive, but he was a little bit timid, tiptoeing his way through the competition. I think that win in Richmond and success over the past couple of weeks, a strong, consistent run through the first seven races this season. Austin Beers has got a swagger and a bounce at his step that seems to be serving him well, and you can just see the confidence in that driver.
I noticed it as soon as he walked into the pits today. When he got here last time, or the first time he was here, he looked frightened. He really did. He went up to the racetrack. I was with him and his dad, Eric, and he went up to the racetrack and he looked and he went, "Oh my goodness, what am I going to do on this thing?" And here he is today, probably 3 races later now, and he's leading the first 58 laps of this event. He's done a great job. And as you say, his demeanor, even the way he's driving the race car, is different. He's just ready to go.
Wave around cars coming back around as we get back under the green flag here. 59 laps in when the green flag comes out. Austin Beers tries to slide up the racetrack to take the line away from Ronnie Silk, and he does. Silk has to pedal it midway down the back straightaway, and Beers back out in front.
Here comes Jack Hanley Jr. at car number 45 to the inside of Ronnie Silk. Hanley, with a good run down the back straightaway, tries to come to position number 2.
And this will be that test we were talking about with Hanley. Will his car be strong on the long run after lap 50, the traditional distance here on a weekly basis at this track? Right now, he's challenging a former Whelen Modified Tour champion who is outside with the lead directly ahead.
62 laps into this event. Austin Beers leads, but he's got cars all around him. Here comes Silk to the outside.
They are putting the heat on Austin Beers, and that is being led by Ron Silk. Silk leads that lap. He puts the nose out in front with car number 16. The outside lane is rolling. Silk, Bonsignor, Kobe, 3 champions stacked up in the outside lane with Austin Beers down low.
Austin Beers doing all he can to hold these cars back, but Ronnie Silk in car number 16 will come to the race lead. Bonsignor now gets to the outside. Oh, contact.
Austin Beers drove deep down into turns 3 and 4 and got into the left rear of Ronnie Silk. Hanley lost some ground in the exchanges. His car went sideways, but everybody continues on. Again, contact from the 64. Beers driving it deep down on the bottom. Out of his rhythm for a moment, trying to gather it back in as everybody freight trains the 64 to the outside.
What a ride by Doug Kobe and Justin Bonsignor to come to second and third and bring Kyle Bonsignor with him. Jack Hanley Jr. now has gotten to the outside behind Bonsignor as he tries to go around Austin Beers.
Beers is looking for relief, looking for his spotter to say clear all around, but he fights to the bottom. Had a window off the end of the front straightaway, but dove deep underneath Kyle Bonsignor. Now Hanley drives to the outside lane of 3.
What a battle up front as Ronnie Silk continues to lead the way. The 51 of Justin Bonsignor has come to second. Doug Kobe, though, all over the back bumper for the 3rd spot.
This is what Doug Kobe does, right? He moved up a little bit before that caution flag, continued to chip away just outside the top 5, took advantage of that restart, and now all of a sudden you got a driver out in front, Ron Silk, looking for victory. The 2 guys behind him got 13 wins between the 2 of them here at this racetrack. They know how to get it done at Riverhead.
And throw Kyle Bonsignor into the mix as he's been strong here tonight and in previous events. In the 22 car, Jack Hanley Jr. is 5th. 6th is Austin Beers. Ripkenma, 7th. 8th, John Beatty Jr. 9th, the 82 car of Craig Lutz. And 10th, here comes the 66 of Timmy Solomito.
It's a very positive turnaround for that 22 of Kyle Bonsignor. They haven't put up a bunch of big numbers this year, but they have put up strong, consistent finishes. We've had a stretch of short tracks that are flat over the past 4 or 5 races, this one probably being one of the most aggressively banked, along with the Monadnock Speedway up in New Hampshire, that we have raced over the past several weekends. But that 22 car has put a string together of 4 top 10 finishes. Right now, he's running 4th. Cam McDermott behind the scenes turning the wrenches. Brand new race cars with this team to start the season. They put some money in, they put some effort in, and that performance, that extra investment in time and effort, and that 22 team for Kyle Bonsignor is really paying off.
And for Kyle Bonsignor, Bayshore, Long Island is his hometown. But he never really ran a modified here. He always ran go-karts at this facility, and then he moved.
He lives out in the Midwest. He will be on an airplane tomorrow, headed back home to run a tool truck, which is what he does for a living. But, one thing he said to me earlier today, he said, Cam McDermott has forced me to be a good note taker. And so when I get on that airplane tomorrow morning, I've got to put all my notes down and really think through every aspect of the day, from practice to qualifying to the different stages of the race. And he said that is one of the reasons why our program has gotten so much better this season, is that I've been more diligent about my note-taking and using that to grow and build the program as the season and the races go on.
And he's doing a great job here tonight as he runs in the fourth spot in car number 22. Reset the deck, 81 laps into this event. Ron Silk, your race leader, but now he's got a mirror full of Justin Bonsignor. Bonsignor trying to tie Mike Ewaninsko for his 11th career NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour victory here at Riverhead Raceway, and he's putting the pressure on Ronnie Silk here, 82 laps into this event.
We certainly spent a lot of time talking about the greats in modified competition. We talked about Mike Ewaninsko today, a 28-time winner on the tour, 11 times at this racetrack. But what we are seeing now in the modern era of modified racing really is history in the making. Doug Coby, 6 championships. Justin Bonsignor, 3 championships. The both of them only 1 win apart on the all-time win list in NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour competition, and they are near the top behind guys like Mike Stefanik, Reggie Ruggiero, Ted Christopher. You've got Justin Bonsignor, Tony Hirschman, and Doug Coby in that order. We are witnessing some of the best history in modified racing that has ever been played out in the history of open wheel competition.
And they don't seem to be slowing down at all. Both drivers continue to be competitive. They're in competitive equipment, and the championship this year could be either one of them.
Bonsignor said earlier, at 35 years old, I just hope that I can race into my 50s, and then maybe I can be just as recognized as some of the drivers like Stefanik and Christopher before me. Here is the battle up front, though. You notice the outside lane really starting to come in. That's how they got by Austin Beers. Everybody moved up the lane while Beers stayed on the bottom. Justin Bonsignor is looking even higher on Ron Silk to see if he can make that lane work.
It's almost looking like he's trying to get the momentum run and perhaps pull that car to the bottom and get underneath of the 16 car. See how high he sends it through the corner, and then he looks to the bottom. With lap traffic in front of him right now, he can't make that move, but he did that here last time the Modified Tour was here. And Bonsignor right now is in hunting mode. He's trying to find the best place for that Phoenix Communications number 51 car.
Last time we were here, Silk dominated the race and gave up the lead late to Justin Bonsignor. Now Bonsignor is putting a lot more pressure on him early, as we're just 8 laps away from halfway. But Bonsignor putting the heat on, but he continues to run about a half a groove higher than just about anybody else on the racetrack. And he's a guy that knows a lot of tricks here at the Speedway. There's got to be something that he is seeing out there that's a little bit more advantageous for that 51 car at the moment.
It almost looks like he's able to get more of the right rear up high there and get a better run than Silk. But now as he tries it, Silk pulls about a car length advantage over him in car number 16.
We did talk about the resin that they apply here to the outside lane. After a couple of races, it does fade away, but when you start running on it, that resin begins to activate, different rubber on it like it is tonight. That could be coming into a factor, and Bonsignor searching around a little bit, seeing if he could find a little extra speed out of that 51 or find a way to save his tires in a way that the others are not. That's the other factor that we've got to put into play with still 104 laps to go. You've got to be good in that last 20-lap stint to the finish if you want to capture the checkered flag.
And Ronnie Silk continues to set the pace, and he's starting to pull away from Justin Bonsignor. Could that be by design for Bonsignor, as he saw how high he could run on this raceway and still make that car rotate? So Bonsignor could have settled in here in the second spot as Doug Coby sits third. Fourth is Kyle Bonsignor. Fifth, great run for Jack Hanley Jr. as we approach halfway in the Suffolk Precast number 45. Sixth is Austin Beers. Seventh, Tyler Ripkema. John Beatty Jr. to the 8th spot. Ninth is the 82 of Craig Lutz. And 10th is Timmy Salamita.
So we're just at the halfway point now with Ron Silk out in front. And we've talked about Jack Hanley Jr. in that 45 and the strong run that he has had all day long, qualified inside the top 5. He's running there now in the 5th position. We're now twice the distance of a normal weekly Saturday night feature event. But his car hasn't backed off at all. that mid-run speed now continues in that 45, and he continues to look poised for a good top 5 run tonight.
His first career victory here was in an extra distance race. I believe it was the Cecil Palm Tree, was for Eddie Partridge. I think it was the 106 or 136. But that was his first victory in a modified for the driver of car number 45, Jack Hanley Jr. So, right now, he doesn't seem to be out of caution flag down.
Caution flag is out here, the second of the race. On lap 103 when the caution flag flew. We've got the 2 car of J.R. Bertuccio, who's paused in the infield. Don't see any other incidents out on the course, but the caution flag is out, and it is for the 2 car. Window net was down on the 2 car for J.R. Bertuccio. And that is the reason for the caution. So we'll give us an opportunity to reset here. Ronnie Silk, the race leader, 106 laps in. Justin Bonsignore, Doug Coby, second and third. Kyle Bonsignore is fourth. Jack Hanley Jr. is fifth. Now, Austin Beers led early, took the lead until Ron Silk took it away on the restart on lap 63, but he has slid back to sixth. Tyler Ripkema, seventh. John Beatty Jr., eighth. Craig Lutz and Timmy Salamito, that's your top 10. Now, Matt Hirschman had moved up to ninth in that first 20-30 lap stint, but he has been outside the top 10 since then. He's been pretty quiet, Steve. He's running 11th.
I don't know if he's just saving his equipment at this point. It doesn't look like he's running as hard as he did earlier in the event. So perhaps Matt Hirschman knows what he's got, and he's going to take his time to get to the front of the field. What we have noticed is, as Joe Koss pointed out, they've moved up quite a ways up the raceway. They were using that bottom group. They were almost under the white line many laps for the first 50, 60 laps. And now, as Joe pointed out, Ronnie Silk, Justin Bonsignore, they're all up to the top of the raceway. Bunch of cars heading to the pits.
Including Brian Narducci is one. I thought J.B. Fortin was going to make his way to pit road, but he did not go down pit road. He's navigating to the outside lane of everybody else and now has made his way to pit road. So the 34 of J.B. Fortin now heading down pit road. You see the other cars working their way through. Justin Brown is on pit road. Ken Hagee is on pit road, which is just off turns 3 and 4. So they exit the racetrack here in turn 3, come back on in turn 4. Again, they are trying to maintain and keep everybody on the lead lap. So that is what the process is. Here's Ken Hagee making his way back out onto the racetrack momentarily, but all types of things happen on a short racetrack when you've got caution laps counting.
A lot of cars. Hagee going to try and go back around and head back to the pits to finish his adjustments. Ken Hagee.
So Brian Narducci back out on track along with Ken Hagee in team. The 49 car of Chris Young. He was the lucky dog. He'll get the beneficiary here and be able to come back around on the lead lap as he will rejoin at the tail end of the field. 17 cars on the lead lap. The restart will come on lap 112 of 200 here tonight. And it's Ron Silk, the race leader. And look what lane he chose for the restart. He chose the outside lane.
Ronnie Silk to the outside on the button. And Silk right back to the race lead. Here comes Coby on the bottom.
Silk, a great start. Rockets to the race lead once again. Justin Bonsignore there in second. Now behind him, Kyle Bonsignore on the back bumper. Those two are cousins. Down to the inside lane, Coby trying to fend off the challenge, but that bottom lane giving up spots on a second consecutive restart as now Kyle Bonsignore puts a nose ahead of Doug Coby.
I think Doug Coby went for the early shot to see if he can get down there and get some grip. And now Coby has worked his way to the top of the raceway. And Doug Coby, with slight contact, comes back to the fourth spot. John Beatty Jr. to fifth.
Trouble for Austin Beers. He gets shuffled out of line. and he goes back a handful of spots. His car very loose off turn number 2, was able to gather it back in. So Beer struggling for the second consecutive restart. The first time he was battling with Hanley, got rocketed up the racetrack in turn 4. They nearly went 3 wide. Now he's getting pushed wide again. Craig Lutz works down to the inside lane. Austin Beers hung out to dry. This time he's in the outside lane going backwards.
Beers he had contact with Kobe in the 7NY, and that could be the reason for the drop in position as it happened in turn number 3. But right now, even Matt Hirschman feeling the heat to the outside.
If you saw the sparks flying along the front straightaway, that came off the number 81 car of Mark Stewart, who caught the outside wall. Racing with Matt Hirschman in the 60 car. Stewart made his debut here in the Whelen Modified Tour today, his first career start in the 81, and he is now in the 12th spot, working the outside lane around Hirschman.
Doing a nice job in car number 81. Here comes the 58 of Eric Goodale. Goodale to the outside of Hirschman as well. Goodale's been quiet thus far. He started deep in the field. He's starting to move his way through now as he goes to the 12th spot to the outside of Matt Hirschman.
Qualifying at this track, traditionally, you look at the stats, has been very important. And when you start 17th in a Whelen Modified race here in Riverhead, it is hard to work your way through the field. And Eric Goodale has won here before, but he has struggled. He's sitting back in 14th right now, trying to take 13th away from Matt Hirschman, and he does at the line, picks up another spot, but he's got a long way to go to get to the top 10. Out front, it's Ron Silk. They'll see 75 laps to go. This time by, Silk continues to look in that rear view mirror and see Justin Bonsignor as he runs a bit higher still. Kyle Bonsignor in third. Kobe continues to put pressure on him in the 4th position.
What a job by Ronnie Silk on that restart to get ahead of Justin Bonsignor. Bonsignor settled in for the 2nd spot, and right now he'll ride.
Boy, a moment ago, J.B. Fortin just sent it off turn 4. It was off camera from the Flow Racing broadcast, but J.B. Fortin sent it up the hill and nearly collided with Matt Hirschman. Matt Hirschman has now lost a few more spots. He's back to the 16th spot, but something happened there as Fortin just sailed it deep off turn 4.
Hirschman making his way back around the 26 car of Max Sackham. And an uncharacteristic for Matt Hirschman thus far. The Alan Deering owns number 60.
Well, those two have had issues before. A year ago at Monadnock Speedway up in New Hampshire, Fortin and Hirschman came together. It cost Hirschman an opportunity to win while JB was a lap down. We'll keep an eye on that situation. They're about 4 or 5 car lengths apart at the moment. The top 4 you see on your screen, it's 2 cars starting to open things up a little bit. Contact, Bonsignor into the back of Ronnie Silk. Those two able to open things up as Kyle Bonsignor and Doug Kobe fall back as they battle for 3rd.
3 battles on the Raceway. Bonsignor continues to hunt the 16 car of Ronnie Silk. Silk, 134 laps into this event, is your race leader. Justin Bonsignor is 2nd, Kyle Bonsignor 3rd, Doug Kobe is 4th, and John Beatty Jr. rounds out the top 5.
Yeah, John Beatty Jr. a lap ago got around Jack Hanley Jr. to move into the top 5. You were here that night when he had an outstanding event and an opportunity to win. Came, about 50 feet away from winning his first modified tour race.
And it started, he picked the outside, right? And Justin even said it in victory lane. You pick the outside, I got no tires left. We might make contact. And he was able to get ahead, and Beatty spun him right here at the start-finish line. And Justin came across the Raceway backwards.
And won the race. One of his 10 victories for Justin Bonsignor. There you see the 5 of John Beatty Jr. driving with Jack Hanley Jr. in the number 45. A great battle and a great drive for both of these drivers as we get deeper into this Miller Lite Salutes Mike Iwanisco 200 here tonight. Those two drivers toe-to-toe, and I was looking at some of the lap times. They are running times that are just as fast, even though they're in traffic, as Justin Bonsignor. They're falling back a little bit when they get in lap traffic, but, they're not all that far off the pace, and they're having a pretty good run here in the late going.
Yeah, they look good here, and it's, you're 140 laps in. This is almost a Saturday night feature left for these guys. So let's see what kind of car they have left with 50 to go.
Yeah, they just don't have a lot of tires left.
Right.
At this point, comparatively. Ron Silk, at the point, has been able to open things up a little bit. You see some great battles deeper in the field. The 34 of J.B. Fortin working the outside lane of Eric Goodale. Now, Fortin was on pit road. That's a new race car that they brought out. They had a terrible day. They had electrical problems. The crank trigger broke. They missed some practice. They were really struggling with this race car. Brand new built. They replaced their old car because they found that the chassis was bent. And they've been on and off pit road now, and that adjustment that they made has seemed to pay off because that car is charging to the front, and he's turning very fast lap times, only a little bit slower than what the race leader Ronnie Silk is moving.
Yeah, J.B. Fortin looks good right now as Silk is starting to pull away from Bonsignor. 55 laps to go.
There's that battle there between first and second, the 16 of Ron Silk. Bonsignor right there in second. Only a couple of car lengths behind, but you can see Ronnie Silk's car is moving through the lap traffic very efficiently. And sometimes that's a hard position to be as the race leader, but Silk is wasting no time with the lap cars.
Yeah, he is going where they are not. And Ronnie Silk he's starting to pull away. He's actually seems a little more aggressive than he's been the entire race at this point.
I think he's hungry. He's never won at this racetrack in Whelen Modified Tour competition. Yeah, I mean, this guy is as hungry as they come. We talked about the swagger of Austin Beers earlier in the day, who, by the way, has fallen back to the 10th position. Ron Silk is a pretty reserved guy, but he's one of the most talented drivers in Modified Tour competition. Today, he had a little pep in his step, too. He walked in here with some confidence, and, sometimes when you know it's your day, it's your day. And Ron Silk kind of had that air about him that he knew he was going to have a good run here tonight. Can he hang on for the final 49 laps? A lot can happen, but he's proving right now that he's in the mix with an opportunity to bring it home and make it 1 for 25.
And a lot can happen, especially when you look in your mirror, and here comes the 51 car, Justin Bonsignor. And they're approaching some fast lap traffic.
They've got Justin Brown down at the bottom, Brian Narducci, who's trying to figure out this racetrack for the first time. That car crashed in practice earlier today, really put him back behind the 8 ball as the leaders bypass him to the outside lane. Just ahead, J.B. Fortin and Matt Hirschman. We were talking about the challenges they have had. Hirschman has gotten by Fortin. Fortin was about a car lane or a straightaway ahead of these guys, and he's falling back now. So something went away.
He made contact with someone coming through 3 and 4 here and ended up way up high. And they were able to go all around him. And he did a nice job. He let everybody go, and they got back in line as opposed to wrecking his race car. That is J.B. Fortin.
That slowed a run that was headed towards at least the top 11, maybe 12. But now he is mired back behind Eric Goodale, Matt Hirschman, and directly in front of the race leaders, Ron Silk in the 15th position. So Silk starting to close in on Fortin. He's probably about 10 car lengths behind this battle that we watch right now with Justin Bonsignor, who continues to look higher and higher and higher, but Ron Silk just unfazed by the different line that Bonsignor is running.
I think Silk, and here's the problem. When you think about Ron Silk in this facility, he's, okay, you could say he's 0 for 24, 0 for 25, whatever, he's 0 for 24, but it's got to be so hard to be 0 for 24 and throw in a bunch of top 3s, top 2s, and just miss by a lap, lead the most of the race, and do all of that work. And here Ronnie Silk right now is pacing himself, and he's keeping Justin Bonsignor at bay as they approach J.B. Fortin, Melissa Fifield. He's going to start hitting some heavy lap traffic here.
Yeah, Silk has had many a good day here. He's finished second 2 times at this track. He's had third place finishes in all 3 of the races last year with the second finish that he had earlier this year. That's 4 consecutive podium finishes for that 16. But he's got to change that number. Bonsignor, he wants win number 11. Remember, it's the Mike Iwanisco Salute event here tonight. Iwanisco is on property. He's got 11 track victories, a record at this racetrack. Bonsignor is at 10. And while Iwanisco is here, a driver that he was pursuing an autograph for as a kid, he wants to be able to tie that record, and Mikey Winisco said, I want to be there the night somebody does, because records are made to be broken, and it'd be a tie tonight if Monsignor can get it done.
And he's excited for Justin. He's watching him here tonight, rooting for him. Oh, Hirschman, right in front of your leader, brushes the wall with the right front tire in car number 60.
It's not the first time we have seen a car in trouble in front of the race leader this season. It seems like it happens just about every race on tour. But Ron Silk and Justin Bonsignor work to the outside of big money Matt Hirschman, and they will put the 60 car a lap down, something that Hirschman did to just about everybody the last time we raced at Seacon.
Look at Silk to the bottom, underneath the 58 car of Eric Goodale. Ronnie Silk. Oh, he gets loose. That could be a problem.
They had to go to the bottom. They had been working lap traffic with the leaders to the outside lane, but Goodale took the top, and that forced the leaders down to the bottom. There's Stewart in the 81. They'll go around him, still having a pretty solid run here today in the 81 car in the 12th spot.
29 laps to go this time by for Ron Silk and Justin Bonsignor. Kyle Bonsignor and Doug Kobe are starting to catch them through lap traffic.
Silk has been out in front for 108 laps, took it over on lap number 63, and the laps continue to wind down. His crew chief, Phil Moran, just wants to be able to get out of this racetrack unscathed. This racetrack has not been too kind to him over the years, and it was always one of the racetracks that they struggled with, but now he's got an opportunity with Ron Silk to turn that around and get a win today.
Doug Kobe just went to the inside of Kyle Bonsignor for the third spot. Bonsignor started getting loose up out of turn number 2, and Kobe was able to capitalize.
Yeah, took advantage of it. We saw that car drift up the racetrack in the battle for third and fourth, so Kobe trying to rally and get a podium finish here under now 25 laps to go. The race leaders have gotten through the thickest of the lap traffic now. Ron Silk has Brian Narducci up ahead, but they've got a little bit of room to work before they catch the tail end of the main group of cars and get deeper inside the top 10 as they battle towards the finish of this one tonight.
What a great job by Ron Silk and Justin Bonsignor as they came through traffic and were able to put some distance between third place Doug Kobe and fourth place Kyle Bonsignor.
Clear racetrack ahead if you can have that on a tight bull ring racetrack like Riverhead for Ron Silk, and he looks in the rearview mirror. The lead is as big as it has been all day long. It's about 5 car lengths back to the second place Justin Bonsignor in second. Then you have to go back about 10 car lengths to Doug Kobe in the 7 New York. Kobe is going a little bit quicker. He's gone to the afterburners, and he's turning laps just as fast as Justin Bonsignor and a little bit slower than what Ronnie Silk is going at the moment.
And they're about to catch the top 10. They are not far from the top 10 right now. Ronnie Silk is your race leader. Justin Bonsignor in second. Doug Kobe is third. Fourth is Kyle Bonsignor. Fifth, you have to go all the way back to Jack Hanley Jr., car number 45. Sixth is Tyler Ripkema. Seventh, Timmy Solomito. Eighth, Roger Turbich. Ninth, John Beatty Jr. And 10th, Austin Beers. And they're in the same straightaway as Austin Beers.
It might be too little too late, but Doug Kobe is gone to the afterburner. I mean, he was 0.2 faster last time through than Justin Bonsignor, 1/10 faster than Ron Silk, but he's a long way behind him. Now, 8 car lengths behind the second place machine is Doug Kobe, but 14, now 15 laps to go, rather. Time is running out for Kobe to become a factor.
Oh, Silk clipped the wall on the backstretch with the right rear tire.
Is that the mistake that will make Ron Silk vulnerable? The race leader is all on the back straightaway. Silk works to the outside of Dave Zapienza. Comes across the line. Doesn't seem to be any issue with the race car, though, and Justin Bonsignor has not yet closed in. But Kobe in third, about a straightaway behind, continues to be faster than the 2 race leaders.
Ronnie Silk, car number 16, starting to stretch out his lead as they head back to lap traffic. He's about 2 laps away from catching your 10th place competitor, Austin Beers. Maybe more than 2 laps.
Kobe was gaining, but he gave up a ton. He missed the turn and gave up 0.3 of a second. Everything that he had gained, he lost just that quick. To the line this time by 10 laps to go for the race leader, Ron Silk. It's a 6-car length advantage back to Justin Bonsignor.
Silk enjoys his largest lead of the night in car number 16 as he laps Ken Hagee and heads down the back straightaway. Justin Bonsignor some 5-car lengths back, and Doug Kobe is starting to catch Bonsignor.
The advantage, though, for Ron Silk is growing. About half a straightaway now, the distance between first and second. There you see the top three. Silk in the 16, the Bonsignor 51, and Doug Kobe in the 7 New York. The battle now could be for second. Bonsignor looks in the rearview mirror, and Doug Kobe is coming, trying to get one more spot before the finish.
Doug Kobe in the 7NY. Reeling in Justin Bonsignor, but it's going to be too little too late as Ronnie Silk is 5 laps away in the Phil Moran, number 16. Moran had won here with Doug Kobe. Then he went to the Ronnie Silk team, the Tyler Haight team. And they're trying to hold on here. 3 to go this time by.
Ron Silk knows that the battle is on for second behind them, and with those 3 laps to go, knows that that'll slow those 2 cars up. But the challenge for him is a few cars ahead. He's got lap traffic, but I don't think he's going to need to challenge those lap cars. He's got enough of an advantage. 2 laps to go. Ronnie Silk across the line. Ronnie Silk guides his car into turn number 3. This time through. White flag is out. Ronnie Silk has tried many, many years, many times to win at Riverhead Raceway. He's come close many times before, but tonight is his night. For the second time this season, Ronnie Silk has won on the Whelen Modified Tour. Across the line, Justin Bonsignor holds on for second. Doug Kobe, Kyle Bonsignor, Jack Hanley Jr. with a great run. Rounding out the top 5, you got Roger Turbush, solid run for him. He'll come home 6th. Tyler Ripkema. John Beatty Jr. was 8th. 9th for Timmy Salanito. And the pole sitter, Austin Beers, slid back to the 10th spot. Eric Goodale rallied back for 11th. J.B. Fortin was 12th. Mark Stewart in his debut, 13th. Craig Lutz, 14th. Mac Hirschman was 15th. Max Ackham, 16th tonight, along with Chris Young, Justin Brown at 18th, Dave Sapienza, and Brian Narducci. That is your top 20. Ken Hagee, Melissa Fifield, and J.R. Bertuccio rounding out the finishing order here tonight. Ronnie Silk came oh so close to winning this race when we were here in May. Today, he will extend his championship point lead, picks up his 2nd win of the 2023 season, and Ronnie Silk down here in Riverhead Raceway Victory Lane, something that he has been working for, to be able to become victorious at this racetrack where he's had so many races, so much success. But no Whelen Modified Tour victories until tonight, and it comes, and the Miller Lite salutes Mike Iwanisco 200. Justin Bonsignor tonight, he wanted that 11th victory. He came up just a little bit short. They invert the order from where they finished in May. Today, it's Ron Silk on top, Bonsignor 2nd, and Doug Kobe back on the podium here tonight in Riverhead, and these 3 will be battling through the rest of the season to race for the Whelen Modified Tour Championship. Silk has done it. Phil Moran, Joe Yanone, Tyler Haight, the car owners on that number 16 modified, and he's about ready to climb out of the race car. All smiles, the confidence of a win. The team joins him down there in victory lane of the racetrack, but boy, what a show for Ronnie Silk. Took over the race lead on lap number 63, and he was challenged by some of the best in the business, but he never looked back and was able to drive to victory here tonight. Congratulations from the entire crew, the team on hand. And when Ron Silk gets out of that race car, give him a big Riverhead Raceway congratulations for his victory and his drive today. Doug Kobe in victory lane to offer congratulations. These guys have all grown up racing against each other, whether it's in go-karts and then eventually moving up to modified competition like you see here tonight. They have raced each other for a long, long time, and those rivalries continue. As he comes out of the race car, let's go trackside to victory lane in Steve Halpin.
We need Mike Uinitsko in victory lane. Here he comes. I know you couldn't wait to see me today. It's about time, buddy. Listen, we were saying it's to not win here is one thing, but when you run so well, so many times, your team puts everything together and you get a late restart or something where you're killing this field. And then all of a sudden, you got to go fight for it again after you already took the lead. Well, tonight you laid it on him, my friend. You did some job. This has to feel amazing for you, your team, and everybody involved.
Yeah, it certainly does. I feel like, we probably had the car to beat last time we were here, and I got beat on those last restarts. So luckily didn't have to face that again. Again, my guys brought a great car. But, this is cool, special to me. I won a championship driving for Eddie Partridge. This is his track, and obviously we all wish he was still around. And, we all miss him, and really cool to I'm honored to win the race that they recognized Mike Uinitsko. I heard him say that he didn't think he did enough to be recognized. I think he did more than enough.
He'd be happy to hear that. He's going to be out here in a minute. You'll get to talk to him. And, I mean, this is not a new deal, but something that came together for you, and it seems to have worked out great with Phil Moran, Tyler Haight, and everyone else involved.
I'm super lucky to have great owners like Tyler, Joe Yanone, HYR Racing. Lucky to have a crew chief like Phil Moran and car chief like Bob Tulipani. They spend a lot of time on these cars. We work on them a lot together, and it's a lot of fun.
Congratulations. Great job. Hang on. Let's get Uinitsko in here. Come on in, Michael.
Good job, Ronnie. Awesome job. What a race. I enjoyed myself a ton. I might have to come back next week.
All right, we'll be here. Let's get the trophy in here. We'll get a picture with you guys. Let him hear it one more time, folks. Ronnie Silk finally finds his way to victory lane here at Riverhead Raceway. Now we got the second place guy. Justin Bonsignor. First of all, outstanding race. You and Ronnie, it's always a good race with you guys. And I know it's a different tire here today. Was there a lot of difference about that?
A little bit. I mean, we were able to run a harder pace, I think, for sure, than we've been in the past. So, but John L was just got to stop spraying the racetrack. It just makes it one groove. I mean, I tried it like lap 130 or 40 to try the bottom, and I lost 6-7 car lengths. And you're just glued to the top. It's unfortunate, but we would love to win with Michael here tonight. It's to appreciate the track for everything they did for Mike and honoring him while he's still around and well deserving of it. We'll come back in September and see if we can do it. I mean, Ron's been the best car here both times so far. We snuck away with one last time, so even if there was a late caution, I don't think I could have done anything with him because he was going to take the top. So just really tough to race like that right around the top. You can't even get a wheel outside of it because we're just right at the cushion. So that's part of it. They hit it a little better than us. I think maybe if we had track position on him, he would have had a tough time getting by us. But all in all, a good night. Can't thank everybody enough from the Phoenix Communications team. Ken Massa, Janine Massa. Ryan Stone and the guys did a great job today, so lost a few points around, but we're still clicking off good finishes here, so we'll go to Wall Stadium next.
All right, pal, congratulations. Let him hear, folks. Justin Bonsignor comes home second here tonight. This thing was going at the end, buddy. You know what? Why? I'd love to talk to you, pal. I'll tell you what, you had a rough start. You got shuffled to the back, and then you worked your way, not to the back, but you lost a bunch of spots on the bottom, and then you worked your way back. This thing was great at the end.
Yeah, the Mayhew Tool 7NY was a little bit better than the 51 at the end, but I don't know what Justin said, but I want the race fans to know we want to put on a show and run side by side, but, we show up here, we don't know where the track spray is. 10 championships between the drivers here on the front stretch, and, they don't ask us. We'd really like to, but that's just how it goes. I'm happy for Phil and Ron and their team. They work really hard, and I know it's been Ron's really been trying to win here at Riverhead. I know the feeling to first Riverhead win on the tour. So we got to work on this. You know, we really want to put on a good show. If I could have got some grip on the bottom there next to Justin, I could have maybe even pulled up, you know, past him and then chased the 16 down. But, you know, when there's one groove out here to race and you can't put your right sides outside of that, it's all you can do is ride around single file. So, you know, not the best show, I don't think, but at least we're all in one piece.
All right, pal, congratulations. Let him hear it, folks. Doug Kobe comes home third. That will end tonight's program. We thank you for coming out to Riverhead Raceway with some weather challenges here today. Great job by Tom Gatz, Connie Partridge, John Elwood, and the entire staff to get this race in here tonight. We say congratulations to Ron Silk and his entire team for taking down his first NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour win here